This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV. We are just coming off the huge Great North Wrestling 10th anniversary event in Ottawa. I had one of the toughest matches of my career. I ended up regaining the Great North Wrestling Canadian Heavyweight Championship for the third time from West Briscoe and putting an end to the Aces and Eights in Great North Wrestling. And Lady Yasmin, of course, became the first ever Great North Wrestling Women's Champion of Canada. Sid had his Ottawa retirement match that's part of his ongoing retirement tour. And the other big event of that particular show, which is now posted in full on our The Hannibal TV YouTube channel, was a match between three-time WWE Tag Team Champion Quebecer Pierre Carl Ouellet, otherwise known as Jean-Pierre Lafitte. He's a former WCW Hardcore champion. He has wrestled for ECW. He's held championships in Puerto Rico. He's wrestled in Japan. And now he's back as a regular in Great North Wrestling, and he's on the line with me tonight. Pierre Carl Ouellet, PCO, how are you doing, and how did it feel to be back in the ring after a 9-year absence from Great North Wrestling?
Oh, it was great, to be back with Great North Wrestling. I've been wrestling here and there, but I've been mostly working on my grappling game, on my catch wrestling game, my submission game, on my Muay Thai, and my Kyokushin karate, and adding, like different tools to, the days, the new generation of wrestlers today, and just being ahead of everybody. I'm trying to be ahead of everybody in the game. I understand the game, I know the game, and I know what it takes, to be on top of this game. And I didn't even think once about, not doing what I'm doing to improve all my game, all my all-around game and professional wrestling by doing those private course with, big names in the industry of the grappling business, and also in the karate or Muay Thai business. I'm doing both. And I'm doing a class with people. I'm doing a competition also, as a submission competition only. And a little bit, I got also a freestyle wrestling coach, just for the takedowns and all that. So it's a big, 8-9 years of working my ass off to become, a real threat for anybody that may cross my path in the ring. And in the meantime, I want to congratulate you on regaining the Canadian Championship title and putting an end to the cancer that was the Aces and Eight of Quebec. So congratulations on that. And my return on the 10th anniversary, was quite a return, working against Maximum Testosterone, Maxime Lanier. He's one of the top 5 strongest men, legit, in Canada, doing all those things, pulling, semi, doing the Atlas Stones, lifting cars, just crazy brute force. And I needed all my everything that I had to my game to put an end to this match. After 20 minutes of hard work and trying different submission on him, finally I got him with a bicep cruncher, compressor, move that applies a lot of pressure on his biceps with figure 4 on top of his arms, and with my arm squeezing into his forearm and his biceps, and he had no choice but to tap out, because those guys, they're big, they're strong, but they're not flexible, so that was an advantage
No,
for
and I
me.
understand he was actually injured from that, and he will not be returning to Great North Wrestling until our November 5th event in Rockland. He's not going to be at the September 2nd event in Hawkesbury next Saturday or the September 30th event in Napanee, but you're going to be on both of those events. The first match, you're going to be wrestling Michael Von Payton, the original MVP, not to be confused with the WWE MVP. This MVP actually was using the name since 2004, I believe. But he's a very accomplished wrestler, very well known around the, I guess, Quebec and Ontario area. And he's one of the feature performers on the Channel Z TV show that Great North Wrestling is participating in that's going to air in 2018. And this match is actually going to be part of that television show. So, what's your strategy going into that match? Because he's a very different wrestler than
Yeah,
Maximum Testosterone.
yeah, I saw him like a good, a nice version of Rob Van Dam. A lot of a speed, spinning heel kicks, a lot of going on the ropes, making moves on the ropes, fast, dynamic, energetic, with a lot of energy. Um, my strategy with him will be to crush him and if I can get on top of him, just make him feel my weight, punish him, crush him, wear him out, stuff him up, and use a lot of power moves after that, a lot of spectacular power moves, a lot of high flying moves if I need to, and after I'm going to make him suffer by crushing him with all my weight, make him feel all my elbows in his cheeks and in his chest, in his back, everywhere where it hurts, and stuff him up. You will open up for a submission. He's going to give me an ankle, he's going to give me a wrist, it's going to be a shoulder or a neck crank, but I can guarantee you that I will finish him off with a great submission move, and there's no way he can get out of that. If he tries, he may end up at the hospital because, something might snap or break, so he has to tap out. He will have to tap out, and that's my prediction for Hawkesbury on September the 2nd, Great North Wrestling at the Bike Fest in Hawkesbury, and I invite everybody to come and watch this great show.
It's only an hour away from Montreal, an hour away from Ottawa, an hour away from Cornwall for anyone in those areas. And it's only $10 to get into Bike Fest. Great North Wrestling is on at 5 p.m. that day, but there's also going to be several concerts that day. As part of Bike Fest, there's going to be fireworks, there's going to be some type of water show happening. And for kids under 16, it's absolutely free to get in. So it's going to be a cool event. It's going to be Great North Wrestling's answer to WCW Road Wild. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm wrestling Scorpio on that show, who is a former ECW, WCW, and WWE superstar, as well as New Japan superstar. Have you ever wrestled Scorpio, Carl? I know you have.
Yeah. Actually, he hit his 450 a few times on me, but I don't think he beat me once. I pretty much always kicked out on his 450, but he's very spectacular. He's also a very tough guy. He was a good contender in a brawl for all. He had some great fight. He's good conditioning.
He actually beat up Hawk in a fight, in a real fight.
Yeah. He
in
was
Japan or Korea, I
really
think.
became really outstanding. I was amazed by the way he was fighting, and he's going to be a hell of a challenge for you. That's going to be a hell of a matchup for the people to watch. Hannibal, crazy as you are, and Scorpio, he's very tough, and He's got some great moves. He's very agile too. He does a lot of high flying, but he's also a tough dude. So it's going to be a hell of a matchup.
And unlike you, who's going to be going for more of the submissions, I'm actually going out there to brawl. I'm just going out there to fight in my match. These are going to be a lot of bikers at this event, a lot of people that may not have necessarily be wrestling fans, and I'm just going out there to fight. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, they'll love it for sure. They'll love it.
And speaking of fighting and MMA and submissions, on September 30th, you will be taking on two-time Canadian champion Jeremy Prophet, who is very skilled in kickboxing. In MMA, he's been training. I believe he's trained with David Loiseau's The Crow in
Yeah.
Montreal. So this guy knows a lot about submissions, and he's a great kickboxer. I've felt a lot of his kicks over the years, and I think this might be an extremely tough challenge for you, September the 30th in Napanee.
Well, I circled that date on my calendar, with a red pen, just to remind me every day who I've got to fight, on the September 30th, and all of my trainings, my workouts are going into that direction against Jeremy Prophet. I'm really looking forward to this match. I think when our styles will collide, it's going to be an explosion. I think it's going to be really, really crazy, really savage too, because I'm willing to make him suffer. Dragon suplex on the apron if I have to. Whatever I have to do to get with that victory. To hurry him enough to submit him after, because I know he's got that knowledge too. He's got that science. So I gotta be out wizard him, on what I'm gonna do. I gotta have a good strategy. Also, I'm gonna use, a lot of force and strength where he lacks a little bit there, compared to me. And my heavy power moves, my cannonball of the top rope, whatever I might have to use, power bomb of the top rope, or anything crazy that I might have to use, leg drop him on the apron, and make sure, it's the hardest part of the ring, and he might get injured and get ready for me to submit him, and if we do have to exchange kicks, or elbows, or whatever we need to exchange, I think we'll hear, the crowd will hear the noise of the legs, hitting each other in the back, in the chest, on the shoulders, or Mawashi in the leg, or Yushimata in the inside leg, inside kick. So I think it's gonna be a crazy match, and it's gonna be a hell of a fight, and it's a great challenge for me, and without taking credit out of MVP, it's gonna be like a test for me to see where I'm at in my preparation for Jeremy Prophet. It's going to be a hell of a match on September the 2nd, in Hawkesbury. But Napanee, I'm really looking forward to Jeremy, 2 times world heavyweight Canadian champion and great North wrestling. So,
And multiple-time Quebec champion too, and you're also a multiple-time Quebec champion, so that's a kind of a dream match for a lot of people in Quebec. It is happening in Napanee, but that's well worth the drive for anyone. Not only that match on that card, there's going to be midget wrestling. I'm going to be wrestling Gangrel on that card. Two Cold Scorpios also going to be there. which I hope not with the Canadian Championship. I'm definitely going to do everything I can that he doesn't win, but Scorpio will be back in Napanee as well, so that's going to be a great event. Tickets are on sale now at ticketweb.ca, and more information on all of our events is at greatnorthwrestling.ca. And you were mentioning to me, Carl, that you train with some fighters from TKO, which I guess is the league. It's on UFC Fight Pass, but it's the
Yeah.
highest league in Canada pretty much for MMA. And I was just curious, how much do the top fighters in TKO make compared to UFC? Because I know a lot of MMA in Canada at the lower
Oh,
levels doesn't pay very well.
well, even the UFC fighters, I've know, I know, some big names like Pat Cote and Steve the Bossy, and Bossy put a hell of a show in Ottawa. I remember against Shane O'Donnell,
Yeah.
and he was a little bit disappointed, of the payoff. Even though we made the 50 grand for Fight of the Night in Ottawa, the payoff itself, they don't make that much for UFC. It's got like the monopole of the MMA, a little bit like Vince got,
Yeah.
most of the guy under contract, and they can't go anywhere else, and that gives them the opportunity to have the guys for cheaper salary. Even though the top 5 or 6 guys are making a lot of money, 80% of the boys or 85% of the boys are making decent money. They're not making great money, and that pissed off a lot of people when CM Punk, went there for one match, made $2 million. Took him 3 years, to get ready for that. Not even one round match. He got choked, at the beginning of his match, and took him 3 years to train for this match. So I don't want to get anything away from CM Punk. He tried another sport. It's a very different sport. A little bit like Connor tried to box, but he didn't have the same background as other pro wrestling guys have, and he made $2 million. Good for him, but the guys are not making that much money. I can tell you that. I don't want to throw numbers around because I don't want the guys to think that I'm stooging on their salary,
But that's basically why you're not, with all your MMA training, not going into that discipline, even though you are older for an MMA fighter, but you could probably hold your own in the TKO league, but the money just isn't there.
Yeah. If the money was there, if the money was really, really there, I would, if it was some sort of a dream match or some sort of a big deal, that would be something that I would really think about. But it would be money first, because
you wrestled CM Punk too, right?
yeah, and without, like I said, I got anyone who goes in a cage and the door closed and they're fighting for real, my hats to them, they got balls to do that. And I've been in some of the matches like that, like Brawl for All and with tough guys and everything.
You've also been a bouncer for a very long time, off and on in your life.
Yeah, and every time that you go at it, with someone, you need to have balls, and I cannot take that away from him. But just during the match that I had with him, I didn't see that in him. It's like he's got a lot of fancy moves, but I couldn't see the toughness and his the way, his attitude, or the way, and was projecting yeah, anything, like although he wasn't scared of anything, I was just surprised when I heard that he was going, an age that wasn't, his prime time supposed to be age. He was nearly 40 years old, so um, I didn't know what kind of conditioning he had doing until then. But anyways, I like to train with the guys. They're good sparring partners. There's good energy. They're good spirit team, and also they know that I'm doing pro wrestling, so they it's an extra challenge for them to try to submit me. And sometimes it's funny because I see guys coming to the course, to the rolling, they have an Ultimate Warrior shirt or a Macho Man shirt, and I feel like, I'm doing this for real with them, and and their idol were like pro wrestlers or whatever, So it's a weird feeling, but if you want to learn in that sport, you have to put your ego on the side and be ready to try things. Because if you only go to submit people, you don't drill things or you don't put yourself on your back because you don't like it. But eventually in a real match, a grappling match, you have to put yourself in position that you don't like and work those positions and then when you're really suffering in those positions, then you're making progress. And if in a sparring session, someone submits you, but it doesn't mean you really did submit you. Maybe it means that you were trying something that he didn't know that you were trying. Maybe if my strength is my choke or it's my kimura, maybe I'm gonna roll with someone trying to finish him with an ankle lock or a knee bar. So, I can, make my brain think about other submission moves that I'm not used to doing. So, trying to expand my repertoire by reflex and by having good conditioning and be able to think while the other ones, maybe sometimes they're trying to catch their breath. So, it's a very like a chess game, So it's very you need to be diligent, in the way you plan your move. And sometimes if you let your arm, just there, and it's someone's gonna grab it and do something with it. So you got to be careful at everything you do and think, the 1,000 different ways that the guy could try to come up and grudge your back and up on you from behind. And there's so many things to think about. Your brain is working constantly. So it's something that I really enjoy.
And I'll just throw out there to the listeners that I had a successful title defense against UFC fighter Tom Lawler in Montreal a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed that match. And as you mentioned, you can tell if someone's tough or not, like when you're wrestling them sometimes. And that guy could take a great beating. That's all I have to say about him. I really enjoyed that match, and I wish him the best because I guess he's going to have at least one more UFC fight when his suspension's over. So I hope that he wins that fight and his UFC contract is removed. But I know you're a busy man, Carl, so I'm just going to ask you to comment on one more thing. Vince Russo has been talking about you a lot on his podcast lately. What are your thoughts on Vince Russo being such a fan of you?
It's crazy. I mean, it's not that I'm surprised because I always kind of knew that Vince Russo liked me in WWE. Like, I don't know. I remember sometimes he was coming to me. It was like, I don't know what it is with you, Carl, but anyways, on other situations and just wrestling, how do you do that? And on different fields and different things, but he was like it was always kind of amazed of different things that I was doing, and he was really pushing that pirate gimmick to the extreme. At a point where I had to tell him, Vince, I don't want to talk like a real pirate. I still want to be a human being. I don't want to be like too much of a character. So we sat down, we exchanged ideas, but he was really really pushing for me, and but I'm amazed that he takes the time, to talk about me to Jim Ross, or even with you, and all the nice things that he's been saying. Listen, I have nothing. Nothing. He's the one who hired me back in WCW. He always liked me. He had his hands tied up pretty much with Nash at one point, where Nash was calling the shots, at the end, and maybe he couldn't do what he wanted to do with me. But he's been nothing but a good guy for me. I think he knew also what kind of damage the Clique was doing to the business, even though they were their top guys, and he knew where I was coming from, and he knew that, like I said, if I had to do it over again, I would do it differently. I understand the side of politics in this business, but when I was there at that time, and I was there, I needed balls to do what I did, and I stood up for myself, and I think some guys, at least respected the fact that I stood up for myself, and I stood up, for a lot of the boys that didn't want to stand up because they didn't want to have any heat to the company. And I think that Vince Russo, he knows deep inside himself that what I did was probably, something that a few people would have done. So I guess I'm getting respect out of that from him and for my work. Brett, also put me on his top list, of guys that he worked with in top matches. Bret Hart. So that's Brett. That's Vince Russo. There's a few big names, that are bringing my name up there, and it's very, very nice, so I really appreciate that. And sorry if I take a little bit of time, but when I look at the Hall of Fame of the WWE, and I see someone like Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Baller, inducted in the Hall of Fame, I'm wondering what it is, this Hall of Fame,
I don't think he's actually in there yet, but Coco Beware definitely is.
No, I saw an inducting of, maybe we should Google it, but I'm pretty sure that...
Okay, I'm sure they will put him in because he was in a job for so long, but yeah,
I'm sure
I
he
understand.
He was in a big, he had like 15 inductees that year. I just watched not too long ago. I watched a tape on YouTube, and he was inducted, and I was like, what? It's like a fighter from the NHL who would be inducted in the Hall of Fame of hockey. Supposed to be talented guys.
I'm sure you'll be in there eventually. I wouldn't worry about it because...
No, it's not because I want to be in there. I really couldn't care less of being inducted in the Hall of Fame or not. It's just the fact that I am questioning, what are the criteria? What do you need to accomplish to be there? It's mind blowing.
The
questioning my
credibility
mind.
of it is in question for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, but they're the big company, and it's a big event and everything. So, but there's no way that they're not gonna. They should probably put you, Raymond, and Jacques in at the same time.
And Martel, I would,
And
you know.
Martel, yeah. Well, especially with Raymond back working for WWE now.
I can't. I don't even know why Sid's not inducted yet. I don't even know why Martel's not there yet. And Martel was even in WWW 3W back then. You know, it was working for Vince's dad as a tag team champion with Urea, and you know, WCW AWA champ, WCW WCW TV champ, the WWE Tag Team champs many times, contenders everywhere. I don't, great worker. I don't know why Martel's not there, you know. So,
It doesn't make
uh,
sense, that's for sure. Why they
yeah,
would
and the
put
Rock and Roll Express were there, but
yeah.
most of their career was in WCW. Uh, just,
Abdullah the Butcher never wrestled one match for
yeah,
WWE ever, and
yeah,
they wouldn't even be able to show any of his matches on TV due to the blood. But he's in
yeah,
there before
exactly.
Sid, who Sid had like a long career with WWE and is very known from his WWE days. But I'm sure Sid will
Yeah,
get in one day.
oh yeah, but that's another topic. But it's just
Honky Tonk
you know,
Man, I don't even like Honky Tonk Man, but he's not in there. Like he should have been
yeah.
in there before Coco Beware. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's just, I don't know what's all they select all the guys. What's the is it a family thing? You know, is it friendly things? I don't know, but I'm not talking about that because of myself. Because my goal is to make a big impact, you know, on Great North Wrestling and all the companies. You know, for many years I was self-centered, you know, on making it, you know, it was just WWE, WWE, WWE. My eyes weren't open to, you know, the rest of the world. And when I watch, you know, all the what's happening on the indie scene, all the great territories now, it makes me realize that there's not only Vince McMahon in life, there's not only Vince McMahon in pro wrestling. There's many other ways, and there's many other ways that you can make a name for yourself. And you know, we can think of, you know, guys like Sabu, you know, who I think was one of the guy who could, you know, sell out, you know, pretty much any place, you know, without being in a major WWE you know, program or WCW. And there's many other guys now on the scene, you know, doing it, and yourself and many others that are quite good talent. And that's the way I look at it now. You know, to look at it more with my passion, with my desire to accomplish, you know, better and being better every day. I just got a different attitude towards the business now, you know. So it feels good, you know. I feel good. I feel at peace with myself, and it's a great, great challenge ahead of me.
And it's easier to be seen now with YouTube and everything. Whereas, like, I remember when we were in Puerto Rico together, yes, you were famous in IWA Puerto Rico, but there was no real YouTube back then. So no social media wasn't as popular. So
Yeah,
people didn't know what you were doing, but now there's been great reaction already to your Great North Wrestling match against Maximum Testosterone, and I think that's only going to grow as you continue to put on these matches. And in my opinion, you put on a fantastic match. It was no different from the match you had with AJ Styles at the very first Great North Wrestling match 10 years prior.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're actually
The
in
way
better shape now, actually, in my opinion, and more skilled as far as technique. Not that you weren't skilled
Sharp,
then, but you're
yeah,
more
yeah,
dangerous now.
sharpens a lot of tools, and I think I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. So it's going to be a good year. The end of 2017, and looking forward to 2018, and working real hard, and I'm almost making it like my whole life. It's about this life now. It's not like I'm working 40 years, 40 hours a week, a day job. I have time to work out for 40 hours a week, but doing what I love most, working out and doing whatever,
MMA training,
yeah,
spending
things
time
like
with your
that.
daughter, and now back wrestling.
Yeah, and different kind of stuff.
So for all the fans listening, Carl Ouellet, this coming Saturday in Hawkesbury, it's only $10, free for kids under 16 at the Bike Fest. You pay at the gate. More information at greatnorthwrestling.ca. Then September 30th, he's going to be in Napanee against Jeremy Prophet. Tickets for that one are at ticketweb.ca, starting at just $10 in advance. November 5th, he will be in Rockland. More information on that card coming soon. And all of our events, all the information's at greatnorthwrestling.ca, and you can watch Carl's match from the last event in Ottawa versus Maximum Testosterone on the Hannibal TV on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to that, because all of his upcoming matches are also going to be posted on there. And for anyone that wants to follow you on social media, Carl, do you want to just remind us where we can do that?
Yeah, just from my Facebook page, PCO Style, and you'll get all the information out of there, directing wherever on different social media. So just go and like my PCO Style on Facebook, my fan page, and you'll get all the information from that page, and it's going to direct you to every other social media that I have. So everything goes throughout that page.
And to finish this interview off, thanks again for taking the time to speak with us here at the Hannibal TV. But could you maybe give a message to Michael Von Payton, MVP, about your match this coming Saturday in Hawkesbury at 5 p.m. at Bike Fest?
Yes, MVP Michael Von Payton, Hawkesbury, September the 2nd, Bike Fest. Me against you. Don't forget who you're facing. You're facing none other than the real submission machine, PCO. La 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 la.